Beep beep, what is up ninjas? My name is Sam World. Good morning. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make Martin Garrix progressive house leads inside of Serum. Now we're going to be utilizing a new pack I've made in collaboration with Wandin called Garrix Leads, which is going to be 40 Serum presets, all leads in the style of Martin Garrix's music from the old to the new. So make sure to check it out, and if you want to support this channel, it's only $5 right now. We also have a 50% off on the whole website of evilsounds.com. So all the packs are 50% off. Make sure to click buy so you can see the new price on it. And if you want to support and been looking to buy a pack, make sure to check it out. With that being said, guys, Martin Garrix is currently the #1 DJ in the world, and I'm actually very happy about it. I know there's a lot of people out there that really don't like him because his music is not complex enough. There's not a lot of technicality that goes into it. And as you guys know, my stance on this, I've always believed that music shouldn't be complex and it shouldn't be technical and it shouldn't be hard to make to be considered good music. Good music comes with a good idea that people can hear, they can get euphoric, they could feel different things about it, they could run faster. That's my thoughts on good music. You know, music that kind of motivates you, that changes your motives. You know, if it's meant to make you sad, it makes you sad. If it's meant to make you party, it makes you party. And if it's meant to make you run faster or feel motivated about life, it does that. And I think Martin Garrix nails it on the head. With that being said, guys, let's go on to make some of his progressive house leads. Alright guys, so the first sound we're going to be creating is the lead bite, and if you heard this song in the break, there's this nasty ass part of it where it plays by itself, so we can really dissect the crap out of it. So this is how our version's going to sound like. So super close to the original. Remember, there's no master on this, there's nothing, it's just straight up preset, so it sounds really good. Add a bit of reverb. So in order to make this lead, the first thing you need to know is that it's a saw, and the moment you hear a lead, you should be able to recognize what wavetables it's using. A lot of progressive house and a lot of big room leads are going to stem away, you know, they're going to stem from the saw, the square, the square variations, which are H poles and the Q poles, and it's also going to have different, like a triangle and a sign that could be distorted. But the saw is going to be very dominant on the Martin Garrix sound, especially future bass stuff as well. So in order to make this, we're going to have 9 voices in oscillator A with the standard default saw. We're going to detune at around 0.10 or 10 o'clock, 10 in the morning, and then the blend goes at 2. Now, the reasoning for this positioning, guys, is detunement is going to grab each individual saw. We have 9 saws, remember, and it's going to grab each one, and it's going to offset it a bit. Now, there's going to be kind of, as you can see, kind of patterns there. Like we're going to have on the left side of that yellow line, you know, you're going to have equal amount of green and equal amount of green on the right side. Now, all that means on the left is negative, on the right means positive. So when we detune the saws, we're grabbing 2 saws and we're going negative 0.01, let's say, from the original pitch, and then plus 0.1 equally. Now, the detunement's going to do that, and the more spread out they are, the more the changes to each individual saw. The blend is the volume of the detuned saw. So what that means is if the blend is all the way down, the volume of the saw that stays the same, because we are at 9 voices, you can see the center one will be increased. So if we get rid of, and then this would be the blend at very high, will, you know, kind of favor more of the detuned saw. Notice how it goes from mono to stereo as well, so that's a cool little tip there to have. So we're gonna put that at 70 and 75, 0.10 on the detunement there, and let's get this bad boy up. And that's going to be it. Pretty simple. In oscillator B, we're going to be using another saw, but we're going to go with the saw and try. Now, the reason we go with a separate saw is because we already have a saw layered. There's no reason to go with another saw. Why not add another saw that has a very different vibe to it to kind of layer the sound a little bit better? Remember, we don't want to overlayer like that's just the same saw over and over again, because that's how you run into phase issues, which again means that if something is playing at the same frequency as something else at the same time, they might cancel out, especially if they're not in tune with each other. So on oscillator B, what we're going to have is another saw and try 10 voices detune, blend in the center, detunement, same value almost as this guy here, except this one's going to be at 0.11. From there, we're going to add a warp, a bend, plus and minus, which is going to alter the wavetable. The way I see it, when we use this guy, it's just altering the way, like kind of pushing away from the center or pushing in, like kind of like a black hole sucking in. And that's just going to give you different vibes. So we use it all the way to the right, so we want that bend minus there, and that's going to be it for that one, guys. The wavetail position will remain at the wavetail position of 2, and everything else is going to stay the same. All right, guys, now the filter is going to be something that I really have to explain. You know, the cool thing about Serum is that there's a lot of experimental filters. You know, we have the standard low pass, high pass, band pass, notch type filters, and then we have the Serum filters, which is going to be the HB12. Now, I really like using these filters because, you know, we can easily just emulate that by boosting certain frequencies in EQ, but why not just go with a filter that already has it? So the HB12 is going to have that. So with the frequency now, we're going to control where those kind of resonating boosts are going to happen, and we want them to happen around 66%. It's going to boost that kind of mid-high, which gives it that kind of nice vibe that you hear in that Martin Garrix sound. The cutoff is going to be set to around 213 hertz there, or 11 o'clock, and the resonance is set to 56%, so we can get that boost there out of those individual spots here, as you can see. Okay, so that's pretty much there. The frequency is going to control again where we're doing those boosts. So if we have it, we get different vibes from it. So I personally like it there. We put a little bit of drive to increase the volume. It's kind of like a high shift on the whole thing, so it's boosting it up. And then that's going to be it. The mix is not all the way at 100. It's at around 89%. So again, we let out more frequencies. We don't want to cover the whole thing in the filter. Very simple so far, right? But again, the programming is a little bit crazy because so many people are used to the low pass and the high pass. All right, guys, from here, we're going to be doing a couple of techniques. The first ones are going to be pitch style techniques. So with LFO 1, we're going to be using a very fast LFO on the fine knob of oscillator A and oscillator B. So we're going to route that guy like so, and then you're going to click and move it to around 27 and 25. So you don't want to do a huge change because you will hear that whole change in pitch and it might sound a little bit out of key. However, what this is going to be doing is it's going to be adding movement to the sound, because if I play the sound, you can kind of hear this like da. So that movement is created by an LFO on the pitch. If you ever hear that in the sound, always remember this video. Oh, okay, the LFO on the pitch. That's how we do that. From there, the envelope 3. Or envelope 2, sorry, will be the very fast pitch envelope that makes this kind of have a reverse effect. So we're going to drop that guy over here, and we're going to drop this guy over here. Now, this is going to give that kind of effect. If you get rid of it, it's not going to happen. Sounds like a standard saw, but this effect applied there, Alt Shift click to make it one directional. We're going to pull back, and then we're going to do it on both, so we have a conjunction sound there. It's going to give that reverse. I call it the sucking effect because it sounds like it's coming from. But that's just me. But with decay, you get to control how long it takes, and we just want a very fast one. By the way, my camera might die, so you might not see my beautiful face anymore, but it's okay. All right, with that being said there, guys, the last thing we do is add a noise level all the way down, and we're just going to put envelope 3 to use it to give it a little bit of punch. Decay, sustain all the way down there. Decay at 324. We're going to route that so we get that noise to just come out like pa. And from there, we're pretty much done with the OG sound. The rest is just polishing it. So we're going to apply an EQ and boost at these frequencies here. As you can see, you know, you don't really need to. Just a little bit of the high to get those high frequencies to sound a little bit more in the front of the mix. The chorus isn't really needed. It's just there if you want to kind of have it. And then the compressor, we're going to go with the OTT. So the way we activate that is going up compressor, multiband on, and then the threshold set to -13. If you move the threshold more to the left, you're going to be letting a lot of more frequencies out because all you have is that upwards expansion, upwards compression happening. So we don't want that. We want to have a tame. So around there, it's going to be perfect. This is going to kind of balance the sound out really well. Some reverb, and don't get crazy with it, you know, just a little bit there. You can see we kind of opted to just have it barely there. One of the mistakes I see in a lot of presets is that people tend to put too much reverb on certain presets that don't need them, because reverb tends to mask all the imperfections of a lead or makes it sound more epic. So when I feel insecure about a lead I make, I'm like, shit, it sounds like crap, but if I put reverb, it sounds good. So, you know, the reverb's there for that. Just don't overdo it. And we go with the Hall style and very low size, very low decay, as you can see there. And finally, the last filter we use is the all passes. Now, the all passes filter, literally, it's going to help us again in boosting the shit out of this. So we're going to put the cutoff at 12 o'clock and increase the drive on it. And that's really all we're using it for. It's going to boost the frequencies, certain frequencies again, and it's going to sound amazing. And from there, that's how we make this lead. Apply mono legato if you want to get those slides. And that's how we make the bite lead from the Martin Garrix song and the Brooks song. Moving on to the next one. All right, guys, so my camera died, but let's keep going with this. Now, making the Martin Garrix progressive house lead, very simple. We're going to have two saws again. You know, that's the characteristics of the saw. It sounds so harmonic, and it's one of the most used wavetables. Let's just put it that way. So what we're going to be doing is using 15 voices, 16 voices on oscillator A and B. We're going to detune at around 0.10, very similar to the last preset. The difference on this one is just not going to be as harsh. Now, in oscillator A, once we have the detunement, the blend at 75, we are pretty much done there. And then in oscillator B, we're going to have very similar 16 voices, detunement at 0.19, and blend at 75 as well. From there, you know, we can use a filter, which is going to be the key to this sound. The filter we're using is going to be the Flange HL6 Plus. Now, the filters here inside of Serum, all these experimental filters, what they're kind of mimicking is just the use of these guys here, the flanger and the phaser, at certain points of it. So when you have the frequency at a certain spot for the phaser and the flanger at a certain rate. This is what this is meant to mimic. So we're going to have oscillator A go through that to kind of alter it a bit. It's not going to be anything crazy. It kind of just gives it a nice kind of warmer feel. It's a very small change on it, however, as you can see. Here it's so fucking high frequency. Now a little bit cut those frequencies out. You can kind of see the highs are kind of muffled a little bit there. But with that there, then we have oscillator. So we have two nice layers there. From there, the cutoff here is set at 261. High resonance. Drive at 35%, and that's about it there. The air can here, we're going to be doing something very similar that we did last time to give it a little bit of punch as well. So have that on and set the air can on. It's just going to be found in Organics Air Can 1. And then the sub, we're going to activate it and use the saw so we can layer it with it. Think of this one as our mono sound in a way. So as you can see, this one's more in the center. This is going to be our mono-ish sound, and these guys are going to be our stereo. There, we're going to apply LFO1 again to add movement to the sound. We're going to apply it to the fine. We're going to apply it to, you know, both fines there and to the pans of both sections. Now, we don't want to get crazy with this. For the fines, again, a very small one. And then for the pan there, let's just do very small. Nothing huge, because then you are going to definitely pick up on it and hear it. So we're just going to ease up there. And that's just going to give it a little bit of the movement you hear in the sound. Remember, when you hear movement in the sound, always think LFO modulating something. That's how the movement is created, especially if it's throughout the whole sound. You can't use an envelope and create something very similar to that because it's just not going to do it. LFOs loop and envelopes don't. So once we have that, guys, this is at 116 using a sine wave. So you go into basic and you're just going to put a sine there. Very simple. Okay, so moving on from that, we're going to move into the effects section. And in the effects, we have an EQ, just getting rid of the lows with the low pass. So, you know, we just use the frequency there to cut that. And then we're going to be using a high shelf just to boost a couple of the high frequencies. Nothing crazy like... just a tiny bit. You can see the EQ doesn't really do much though because the OTT is over here really controlling the sound. Now guys, the next effect is going to be the hyper, and the hyper is very simple to kind of explain. Just think of it as extra detunement, extra 4 saws being placed with it. And the rate is going to be how fast those saws are moving in pitch. Detunement is how much they're detuned by. And then the mix, you know, how wet you want it to sound, aka the volume of the effect. Dimension expanded at 9 o'clock, and then 25%. This guy does the Haas effect, but we don't want too much of it, just a little bit to kind of get it to sound a little bit more wide. Very little change with this effect. Just a very little change. A bit of chorus as well, which, you know, just setting it, I think around 9 o'clock is enough. You know, it honestly doesn't do anything at this point. I think we're just trying to make the preset look a little bit more complex than it actually is. But the key thing is that OTT. So the OTT, what we're going to be doing with it is just, you know, again, you turn it on by hitting multiband, threshold at 12 o'clock, mix all the way up, and that's it. This is going to get those highs to come out a little bit better. We're going to have a reverb there, very small like the last one, and then a filter with all passes on again. Cutoff is going to be set 817, and then increase of drive just to make it louder. That's literally all we use it for there, and that's how we get this sound. It's a very beautiful sound, and it's very easy to make, as you guys can see. I think the key thing here on this sound is the LFO. All right, guys, and with that, this tutorial is done. I hope that you guys learned a couple of cool things with sound design. Again, Very simple sound design when it comes to this genre, and I think most genres are gonna have simple sound design unless they're the very niche ones like crazy dubstep and crazy neuro bass. But I hope you guys had fun with this tutorial. Again, you can find the Garrix Beats over at evosounds.com. It's only $5. I think it's a steal. And you know, it took a while to make because we were trying to figure out what songs we wanted to recreate in it. But make sure to check it out. Check out the demo, and if you like what you hear, you can support the channel. And we also have 50% off on all the packs over at evosounds.com for Black Friday. So I hope you guys can take advantage of that and pick up a couple of packs. With that being said, guys, you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.